Welcome to the Jill on Money podcast. It's Wednesday, December 30th, and this is a week, and the next few days and next week, we're going to have all calls. We've pre-recorded these. If you want to get on the air with us, please just send us an email. Ask Jill at JillOnMoney.com. Ask Jill at JillOnMoney.com, and let us know if you'd like to join us. Mark will do all the rest. Right now, we are talking to Barry in Pennsylvania. Hi, Barry. What's going on? How can we help you out today?
Hey, Jill, thanks for taking my call.
No, happy to do it. What's up?
All right, here's our situation.
All right, I'm ready.
My wife and I, I'm 56, my wife's 55.
Mm-hmm.
We're both self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
And we, from now till about 60, we would like to cut back to like part-time.
Oh, look at you.
And then at 60, we either retire or continue working if we want to.
Tell me that you have saved a bazillion dollars so we can make your plan work.
Okay, I'll go through what I have here.
Okay.
Tax-sheltered IRAs, etc.
Mm-hmm.
We have about $1.3 million.
Okay.
Non-tax sheltered, we have about $150,000 in stocks.
Okay.
$120,000 in cash, and we have 2 investment properties.
Oh.
Which give us about $20,000 a year clear.
And those, you would keep those? In other words, those you would plan to keep in retirement or sell those?
As long as they don't become too much of a headache.
A couple things. The investment properties, how much are they worth right now?
Combined about $450,000.
Is there a mortgage outstanding on them?
We have one mortgage for our primary home and everything. So
Okay.
It's all bundled into one.
Okay.
We have a mortgage of $200,000. Right now we have a home equity loan of $50,000 because we're doing some remodeling.
So $250,000 outstanding debt against the primary residence, which is worth how much right now, approximately?
4.25.
4.25. Would you want to stay in that home? Is that like the place where you really want to live out the rest of let's say the early part of retirement?
Early part probably, latter part probably heading south.
Okay. All right. Any other debt besides the mortgage?
No.
Okay. How much do you think you need to live in the part-time period? Like, if you worked part-time, would that cover would you work just enough to cover your costs, but you wouldn't save much more?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Right. So you work enough just to cover all of your expenses. Then tell me at age 60 what the expense level would be. So let's say at 60, how much money do we need to create an income for you guys?
Well, right now our combined income is around $135,000.
Okay.
And we're still putting in like $30,000 into a simple IRA a year. So that's kind of where I'm not really sure.
Oh, come on. You can't make me do all the hard work. Well, let's say this. If you make $135,000 together, right? You know that off the top $30,000 is coming, right? Because right. So that's $105,000, and then you got to pay tax on that. But so let's presume that you would need how about $5,000 a month or $60,000 net to you guys.
Okay.
That's probably what I'm guessing. Okay, so but let's say the only reason why I rounded up is. I don't know, because you never know. Because I want you to have a nice retirement. So $5,000 a month is what we need to create. All right, so let's go backwards. First of all, obviously, I don't actually want you to start drawing Social Security if you don't have to.
Right.
So the one thing, always the fly in the ointment is two things. Is that when you go part time, and you said you want to go till 60 or 62. What's your guess?
60 is the number.
60 is the number. Okay. So at that point, you need health care coverage, but you got to pay for that. But you're paying for it anyway since you're self-employed. You're used to paying that bill, right?
Yep.
Not a big deal. Okay. So.
Well, it is, but.
I mean, meaning not a big deal in terms of not a big change, I should say.
Right.
Always a big deal, but not a big deal.
Right.
Okay. So now I guess the question is this. Do you have enough money to float you so that you don't have to claim Social Security at age 62 and take that big haircut?
Right.
And, I mean, the answer is so let me just make sure I have the assets. You said you have tax preferenced assets, IRA, retirement account assets, $1.3 million, non-retirement assets, $150 a cash of 130, and then you've got the houses and stuff.
Right.
Okay. And so what we know is that you need 60, 20 you'll get from the rental properties. So now we need 40 grand a year. So what you could presumably do is say, well, my non-retirement assets of 150,000, I could use that for a few years, hopefully stretch that out, and make that 4 years worth of coverage to get me to my Social Security retirement age. It's not quite enough, but maybe I could convince you to work till 61. So basically, plan on spending down the non-retirement assets so that you don't have to claim Social Security early.
Right.
All right?
Okay.
So let's assume that. So let me just give you one thing. So in the next 5 years or 4 or 5 years before you guys actually do plan to call it quits, one thing I would suggest is we want to beef up those non-retirement assets a little bit. I would almost prefer you. I know this sounds crazy because you're probably doing a lot of tax deferred stuff and it's important. But I mean, if you can, a little extra money in that account's going to help you because you're going to need to drain some of your money. Okay. Mm-hmm. Did you say you have any Roth accounts or was just all?
We have like 40,000 in Roth.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So now here's my back of the envelope calculation. You retire when you're 60. You use those non-retirement accounts first. Now, I'm not saying the cash because you have an emergency reserve fund. You said about 130 to 125, 130, right?
Right.
Don't touch that. That I still want you to preserve. But the non-retirement assets, that's what I want you to spend to come up with the money that you need to survive so that you don't have to claim Social Security benefits early. Okay? So you use that first. You can dip into your retirement assets. When you're 64, 65, you can pull some money out to float your needs, to supplement that rental income, right? So we know you've got 20 grand of net rental income. We need to net you another $40,000 a year. Use your non-retirement assets to get that 40 grand. Again, later into your 60s, in your mid-60s, before you claim Social Security, you may need to dip into your IRA assets, your protected assets as well, and pay some tax on them. Okay, now we claim Social Security, and boy, the world does change in a great way for you. Because presumably at that point, you're going to get $2,400 a month. She's going to get $2,200. $4,600 a month extra money coming in. It's 55 grand a year, right? That money, once it's taxed, is going to give you, I think, on a net, and I mean, again, who knows exactly what tax rates are going to be, but I'm giving an estimate. I'm guessing that that's going to get you pretty close because you'll have your rental income is 20 grand. I think you'll net pretty close to that extra 40 grand that you need to survive from Social Security. So I think 2 Social Security checks plus your rental income is going to get you pretty close. Sure, if you need to dip into the retirement accounts to make do, fine. Because by the time you retire and you're in 66 and 8 months, those retirement assets are going to not be 1.3. They're going to be at least $1.5 million. They're probably going to be more. And you can dip into that very easily to float your need. So amazingly, I think you can do this. I really think you can do this. It's important that you realize that this works as long as nothing really big and bad happens.
Right.
You have kids. What's the story in your real life? What else?
We don't have kids, and if we run out of money the day we die, perfect.
We've won. We've beat them all. I think that you're going to make this. What about health-wise? You guys in good health?
Yes, we're both in good health. We also have a long-term care policy too, which.
Oh, that's great. All right, so I actually think that you can do this. Do you want to know if you're in good shape for retirement? All you have to do is send us an email. Ask Jill at JillOnMoney.com. We'll do all the rest. And come on, join us on the air. It'll be a lot of fun. Oh, and by the way, just days to go before we try to get Mark's milestone. We want to get tons and tons of ratings and reviews. Mark has a 1,000 target. So if you wouldn't mind, please help us out. Ratings and reviews. And, of course, help yourselves out and your neighbors out. Wash your hands, wear your masks, maintain your physical distancing, and put your hands metaphorically on someone's back today. They need it. And you know what? It'll make you feel better. Okay, we'll talk to you tomorrow.